What you are about to hear is a definitive, psychology-backed explanation of the mental secret held by those who hate going out. Do you know that feeling? That specific moment, maybe on a rainy Friday night when your phone buzzes. You look at the screen and see a text from a friend saying, "Hey, something came up. We're gonna have to take a rain check on dinner until next week." And in that exact second, instead of being bummed out, an almost physical wave of relief washes over your entire body. It's like 100-pound weight just lifted off your shoulders. You no longer need to come up with an excuse. You don't need to fake enthusiasm. You don't need to perform. You are free. Now, think about the moment you get home after a long day. That sacred instant when you put the key in the lock, turn it, step inside, and shut the door behind you. The noise of the outside world is cut off as if someone pulled the plug. The traffic, the side conversations, the demands, the staring eyes, it all ceases. You lean your back against the closed door, let the air out of your lungs. And for the first time all day, you feel like your brain has finally stopped buzzing. If you know exactly what I'm talking about, you probably feel incredibly happy to be home. But at the same time, you might catch yourself wondering if there is something wrong with you. Because society has a very clear script for us. It tells us constantly that happiness is loud, that life happens out there. That if you prefer staying on your couch reading, watching a movie, or simply existing in silence in your room instead of being in a crowded bar screaming to be heard, then you must be depressed, or anxious, or the worst label of all, antisocial. You've heard this, haven't you? That passive-aggressive comment from a relative or coworker. Wow. You never leave your cave. Or you need to get a life. And deep down, even knowing you love your own company, a cruel doubt starts to sprout. Are they right? Am I wasting my life hiding in here? The truth is, living out there requires a performance. It's as if the moment you step out the door, you have to put on armor and a mask. You have to smile when you don't want to. You have to nod along to opinions that don't interest you. You have to drain a social battery that's already in the red with people who, let's be honest, don't always deserve your energy. It is an exhaustion that isn't physical. It's an exhaustion of the soul. It's the fatigue of having to be someone you are not, just so you aren't judged as the bore of the group. But the great news is that your preference for the domestic environment, that irresistible urge to stay in your sanctuary, places you on a different tier of personality. Believe me, psychology and philosophy have concrete proof that this isn't an escape from reality, but rather a high-performance biological strategy. What the majority calls isolation, great thinkers call efficiency regulation. While the outside world is wasting vital energy on random chaos trying to fill a void with noise, you right there in your room might be doing something most people have unlearned. You are building a mental empire in controlled territory. In this video, we are going deep into neuroscience and philosophy to prove that loving to stay home is a sign of intellectual autonomy and neurological efficiency. So rest assured, there is nothing wrong with you if this preference for staying home bothers you. You just run on an operating system that most people don't have the capacity to run. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, we are going to dissect what happens inside your brain, and why your home is the most powerful weapon you have to win at life, not a hiding place. Before we start, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you don't like the content, you can just dislike it at the end, deal? To understand why your body craves the silence of your living room like water in a desert, we need to stop looking at this as a personality preference and start looking at it as pure biology. Let's perform an autopsy on this feeling. There is a fascinating concept in psychology developed by Hans Eysenck called Cortical Arousal theory. Eysenck proposed something that changes the whole game. He discovered that the brains of people who prefer calm environments operate fundamentally differently from the brains of those who constantly seek action. Imagine that your brain has an internal volume knob, a baseline electrical activity that never turns off. For extroverts, this natural volume is low. Their brains are, by default, in a state of low stimulation. That's why they feel an insatiable hunger for the outside world. They need the loud music, the crowds, the shouting matches, and the flashing lights just to feel normal. They seek outside the stimulation they don't possess inside. But you are different. Your brain already possesses an extremely high level of natural electrical activity. You are already operating at high frequency, even when you are standing still staring at a wall. Your internal world is rich, loud, and full of connections 24/7. So when you go out into a chaotic environment, it's not fun for your nervous system. It's an assault. It is overstimulation. Think about that moment at the office or at a family party when 3 people are talking at the same time, the TV is blaring in the background, and someone drops a glass. While others seem not to even notice, you feel a physical irritation shoot up your spine. Your brain, which was already processing 1,000 pieces of information, goes into meltdown. It's like trying to fill a cup that is already overflowing. Therefore, staying home isn't doing nothing. Staying home is an act of biological regulation. It is the only way to lower the external noise so you can hear the internal signal. You aren't hiding from life. You are protecting your central processor from burning out due to excess voltage. This leads us to a harsh truth that most people aren't ready to hear, but which explains exactly why you feel superior when you manage to be alone. Blaise Pascal, one of history's greatest mathematicians and philosophers, diagnosed humanity's illness centuries ago with surgical precision. He said the following phrase: "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." Analyze that for a second. Look at the people around you. Look at their desperation to fill every second of silence. Watch how they panic if the internet goes down for 10 minutes. Watch how they make plans with people they don't even like just so they don't have to have dinner with their own conscience on a Friday night. Modern society has built an entire industry of entertainment and distraction based on the fear people have of themselves. They run to the streets because if they stay home, they will have to face their own thoughts, their own anxieties, and their own void. You have already won the hardest battle of human existence. When you choose to stay home reading a book, taking care of your plants, or simply thinking, you are demonstrating a self-sufficiency that most people will never achieve. You don't need external crutches to endure existence. You are good company for yourself. While they flee, you remain, and that isn't weakness. That is raw mental strength. Now that we understand that your biology demands regulation and that your mind can handle solitude, we need to flip the main switch of this video. We need to change the way you view your home. The world tries to convince you that you stay home out of fear. They say it's insecurity, shyness, or phobia. But I'm going to tell you the real truth about it. You don't stay home because you fear the world. You stay home because you demand control over your reality. Think about the experience of leaving the house. From the moment you step onto the sidewalk, you become a hostage to circumstances. You are a hostage to the weather. You are a hostage to traffic that doesn't move. You are a hostage to the waiter's mood, the quality of the food you didn't cook, the loud music you didn't choose, and the boring small talk you can't escape without seeming rude. The world out there is a chaos of uncontrollable variables that drain your battery. Now look at your home. The philosopher Gaston Bachelard wrote an entire work called The Poetics of Space. He argues that a house is not just a physical shelter against the rain or cold. The house is a tool of the soul. He calls the house our corner of the world. It is the nest where dreams are hatched. When you close the door, you stop being a hostage and become the god of your little universe. At home, you control the lighting. If the harsh white light of the office gives you a headache, at home the light is warm and indirect. You control the temperature. You control the soundtrack. But most important of all, you control who has access to your energy. This isn't hiding. This is building a base of operations. Think of the great strategists, the revolutionary writers, the inventors who changed history. Do you think Isaac Newton developed the laws of physics while trying to socialize in a noisy tavern? Do you think the great novels were written in the middle of a crowded party? No. These masterpieces were forged in the controlled silence of a room. Your home is the only place on earth where your mind can reach a flow state without interruptions. It is the laboratory where you process the information you've collected, where you plan your next steps, where you rebuild yourself. While your friends are out there shouting to be heard in a bar, wasting money and energy on interactions that will be forgotten by the next morning, you are in your territory. You are reading, learning, truly resting, or creating something of value. They call this isolation. We call it a strategic advantage. You have transformed your home into a command center. And that is exactly why you need to stop feeling guilty and start treating your environment with the respect a general treats their headquarters. But for your home to truly be this fortress of power, and not just a hole you crawl into to escape, you need to learn to use it the right way. It's not enough to just be home. You need to be home with intention. And that's what we're going to see now. We've reached the crucial point. Knowing that your brain works differently is liberating, but it's not enough. If you continue using your home just as a passive refuge, a place to hide and binge-watch series without purpose, you will be wasting your greatest asset. Don't use your home just as a hibernation hole. Transform it into a fortress of creation. To do this, you need to stop being a passive inhabitant and become an active architect of your space. Here are 3 practical protocols for those who love staying home and want to turn that into a competitive advantage. The first is the decompression protocol. Most people get home and make a fatal mistake. They walk in, throw their keys on the table, and immediately turn on the TV or open social media. They trade the noise of work for digital noise. Don't do that. Create a sacred entry ritual. When you walk through the door, spend 15 minutes in absolute silence or put on some low instrumental music. Take a shower, change your clothes. This interval serves as a chemical signal to your brain. You are notifying your nervous system that defense mode is over and creative mode has begun. Without this pause, you remain on high alert inside your own sanctuary. The second step is sensory curation. If we agree that the advantage of staying home is control, then actually control it. Your home should be an extension of your mind. If your living room is visual clutter, your mind will be anxious clutter. Eliminate what doesn't serve you. Adjust the lighting. Use low, warm lights at night to induce melatonin production and calm the cortical arousal we mentioned earlier. Transform the physical environment so that it induces the mental state you desire. If the world outside is ugly and chaotic, your internal world has an obligation to be aesthetic and organized. The third and most important is the fortress block. This is the point where most fail. It does no good to lock the physical door of your house if you leave the digital door wide open. Being home does not mean being available. If you are on your couch, but answering work messages on WhatsApp or arguing with strangers on the internet, you are not home. You are mentally on the street. Define times when you are digitally unavailable. Warn important people that after a certain time, you do not respond. Protect your attention with the same ferocity that you protect your home from intruders. If your home is a temple, do not let the world invade this sacred space through your cell phone screen. When you apply these 3 protocols, something changes. You stop feeling like you are missing out on something out there and start realizing how much you are gaining in here. While they spend everything they have trying to impress people who don't care, you are accumulating energy, knowledge, and peace. The world belongs to those who can think, and only those who have a place of silence can think. Your home is not your prison. It is your empire. If you have decided to transform your home into your headquarters of growth, leave the phrase in the comments. My home. My empire. I want to know how many strategists are with me on this. Subscribe to the channel to master the art of solitude and turn your personality into your greatest strength. See you in the next video on our territory.